I think a lot of the times when we go into partnering with a business, things might be running smoothly, but they don't realize the opportunities that if they adjusted slightly, whether it's through project management software, automations, identifying efficiencies in their processes, in their warehouses, distributions, whatever it is, that they can actually save on expenses and ultimately increase their opportunities.
We got to get to our guest, Ron Krudo, President and Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions, and Josh Orlinsky, CEO and Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions. Equiturn is a Florida-based consulting firm. However, they have clients nationwide. They offer an extensive portfolio of customizable professional business consulting services. Their range includes marketing, sales, finance, management. Equiturn offers to provide these services to help organizations facilitate change, achieve their vision, and optimize performance and productivity. On tonight's show, we will discuss growth management strategies, mergers and acquisitions, growth ideas for marketing and sales. With that intro, Ron Krudo, Josh Orlinsky, welcome to Mind Your Business.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're also excited to be on in South Florida. That's pretty cool for us. We reached there with the iHeartRadio network, but still, a live broadcast, there's nothing like it. I'm going to turn to Ron, Josh. Tell me a little bit about your backgrounds. Your partners, you're running this big company. There's got to be a backstory here.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, Josh. Take it away.
Yeah, so, sorry. So I started my career up in Washington, D.C., not too far away from you guys up here.
Yeah, for us, it's south. Well, by the way, for those turning into Florida, it's up here.
Yeah,
for those on 710, it's down. So
that's true. Yeah, but born and raised in South Florida, went to work
Okay.
in D.C.,
Okay.
started my career up there doing investment banking, mergers and acquisition work.
Not politics?
Not politics. It's just not for me, you know.
Okay.
And even I was
get
told,
that.
Ron told me today, you do not talk politics on the radio, so I'm not going to do it.
You set a standard.
But started doing that. Did that for 7.5, 8 years,
Okay.
and then Ron and I joined up forces and brought our different expertises together, and now we are here where we're here today. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that.
So Ron, your background.
Definitely. So I actually came from a little bit of a different world. I was in nonprofit management. I was overseeing a company called Stand With Us. It's an international Israel education organization, and
sure,
I
I've
was
heard
working with their campus department in the U.S., U.K., Canada, managing a team of amazing people and really focusing on fundraising to create impact. And I took that passion, and Josh and I kind of connected, and I realized that my love for the work that I was doing was really about inspiring individuals. And so that's why I jumped into this world. And a lot of my background is actually in management, operations, and marketing. So it was a good complement to what Josh was doing.
So Ron, talk about now establishing Equiturn Business Solutions. Now you talk about your background, great. Then you got together and you established Equiturn.
Yes, actually, it was not an easy establishment, as they say.
Okay.
We went on a road trip. Josh and I, while we were friends in college, we weren't best of friends. You know, we knew each other really well. We were in the same friends group, but we decided we'd go on a road trip together from California, from San Francisco all the way down to Los Angeles. And on that trip, we talked about what Josh was doing and what he loved doing every day, and what I was doing and what I was hoping to do in my future. And when we really bridged that gap, we realized that there was an opportunity to help more people if we just restructured the consulting space and gave it a little bit of our perspective and the way that we would want to address it, about focusing on the individuals and the companies that we really care about in that small to middle market. And we really brought that idea together and collaborated, and it came from each of us jumping ship from very, very successful, great opportunities in the work that we were doing, but deciding to take a risk and went all in. And at that time, actually, Josh was soon to be a father. I was soon to be a father. We were both making our way down to South Florida. It was definitely an interesting time in our life, and we decided, let's get this off the ground. I made a joke when I was talking to the team. When we first started this whole concept, we actually came up with the idea of calling it the American Dream Company, because we truly believed in helping people accomplish their American dream. Now that pivoted very soon after.
We struck that out pretty quickly.
We struck that one out quickly. But the idea and the vision and the passion behind it was about really helping others.
Special. So Josh.
Yeah, no, when I was up in D.C., I was doing consulting work. I was doing mergers and acquisition advisory work. And ultimately, it was always about the dollar, at least in my setting, in my company, where I was. It was always about making money. And it kind of felt to me like the actual business owner was kind of left in the secondary position. And to me, I figured that there had to be a way within a business model that you can obviously make money, but you can help the person, and that should be your forefront, and that should be what you're supposed to, what our work is supposed to be in general, is to take businesses that maybe have something special, maybe have some bumps in the road, and really make them push them forward, capitalize, push on the successes that they have. So
yeah.
Okay, so let's just kind of scope this out for the listeners. A company comes to you. What size is the company in terms of, let's say, annual revenue, employees, and then you take them from here to there, from X to Y. What does that look like?
So we do two different types. So we do work with startups, but not like a startup that's like, I want to start a gas station, in the middle of Miami. It's a startup with a proprietary idea, proprietary technology, because everything we do is based around growth management consulting. So there's management consulting. You can do HR management consulting. You can do, whatever. We focus strictly on growth. So we work with startups, and then we work with what's called small middle market businesses. Roughly, we try not to do anything less than 5 million. We will work with businesses that are above $1 million with very, very specific parameters, but we try no less than 5 million revenue, all the way up to about 100 million in revenue per year.
And the real focus for us, when you ask about the employees and the team, because I'm very operations and team focused, we've worked with individuals that are sole business owners that are getting their concept off the ground, or they've already been established and that they're independent, and we've seen way more opportunity when there's a team behind them, but not the full infrastructure. What we've noticed is that you may have 1 or 2, maybe 5 other employees operating the business, but you're an individual dealing with all the different hats that come with actually owning and operating a business. And that's where we find our best opportunity, because they tend to know growth is needed. They tend to want growth, but have so much on their shoulders, they can't do it on their own. And so we decided, how can we build a unique consulting agency that's focused on growth, but takes that weight off their shoulders and become their team. So Josh can step in as a CFO and accounting specialist with his finance team. I can come in with operations and marketing with my specialists, with sales as well. So that's where we found our best niche, was a company that has a team, but not always the C-level executives or the executive team they need to really scale.
What's like the length of time that you come in? Is it for a quarter, a year? Is there any length of time?
Pretty long, actually, and Josh will touch on this because a lot of our relationships have been around for many years. We see ourselves as being a part of the team, and so when we go in, it's not like your typical consultant where you're hiring them, everybody knows and sees them as a consultant. We come in as a part of the family and a part of the team, and a lot of the times they don't see a future without us being involved, and that's when we start looking at other opportunities to work together. But we are a long-term. Now, we do have projects, and that's where Josh can touch on this, but we do have some projects. Some people come to us and say, listen, I just want to reach this benchmark of acquiring a business. I just want to reach this benchmark of getting a loan. I just want to reach this benchmark of doing a go-to-market strategy. Those projects we'll take on, but the real opportunities, the real success we've seen are with people like an AJ, who we've worked with for a number of years, who started with us with a for-profit entity, but we realized and honed in his passion for nonprofit, and we took the nonprofit that was held by the for-profit and turned it into the nonprofit who's holding the for-profit, and we helped him really establish that, and now his whole company is different, but it's what he always wanted, and we're so involved that we go to board meetings on a regular basis. We talk to the donors. We're very involved and want to help him achieve that.
So is it fair to say that the primary objectives are either to scale or to exit?
Yeah, give or take.
That would be a really one of the strongest selling points for your company. If you want to scale, they're calling you.
Right.
If they want to exit, they want to just and package it right, and we know how we're going to talk about that. M&A.
Yep.
That's another reason they would come to you.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's a scale to exit, but it is exactly that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any specific industries that, or is it the range?
We're agnostic. I mean, realistically, we understand that we just have been finding a lot of success in the healthcare industry right now. But to us, business is business. Especially to me as a finance person, numbers are numbers. You always have revenue, you always cost of sales, you always have expenses, you always have net profit, and you have a balance sheet. And if you can understand how that works through, you can really help any business within the expertises that we have within our company. So I might not be great at marketing, that's admitting I'm not good at it. It's not my.
He's got good ideas.
It's not my thing.
But this is fantastic
But
because
that's
you
why,
guys feed off each other.
Right, and that's why we have a team that is much better at us than that. So it doesn't necessarily matter what industry you're in or whatever you're doing, as long as you fit in those parameters in which we call our area of core competence, which is that revenue sizes, where we know how to utilize capital, we know how to utilize branding, we know how to utilize whatever strengths the company comes along with, proprietary technology, whatever it is. We understand how to create growth strategies and execute upon them. So
Tonight's show sponsored by Equiturn Business Solutions. We're speaking with Ron Krudo, President and Managing Partner at Equiturn, Josh Orlinsky, CEO and Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions. How can people find out more information about your operation and how you could help them?
Yeah, I think it's as easy as going to equiternsolutions.com, and we have everything up there. You can find out about Equiturn Solutions, Equiturn Capital, Equiturn Black, Charged Ventures, any of the different companies that we're running right now. You can just find it right on our website there.
Definitely. You can look us up online. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're all very active on social media since it's a part of what we do. And, of course, if you Google search us, you might get to see some of our Google ads. It might inspire you to want to make one yourself.
We are speaking with two guests that their reach is a national reach. They're located in South Florida, but their reach is nationally. And we are speaking with Josh Orlinsky, CEO and Managing Partner, and Ron Krudo, President and Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions. And they are an outfit that when you're ready to scale, or if you're ready to exit, etc., they are the ones that you want to speak to. And that's what you're listening to on the show tonight. Anyone that missed the first segment of the show, where were you? And don't worry. It's going to go up on mybradio.com in a couple of days. You'll get to hear the entire show. And it's going to go up on YouTube. It's going to be a very popular YouTube. On YouTube, we're at 710 WOR. Mind your business. And but, let's get back to the content here. We have a lot to cover with Josh and Ron. You guys have very different backgrounds and different skill sets. Can you share some of the strategies that you felt were successful to partner up and establish Equiturn?
Definitely. It's not that easy, I will say. We talk to business owners almost every day that partner with someone, and unfortunately it doesn't work out. 3-5 years down the line, something happens. And, we've been doing this for a number of years now. And I think what helped us get to where we are today was really the fact that while we were friends, we weren't the best of friends. We knew that we had a business in mind, and that's what brought us together. As much as we were friends and we appreciated each other's values and how we viewed life and where we wanted to accomplish in the future, and we had similar passion, there was a business that brought us together. And I think that was really golden for us to work together. And also there was a lot of trust. As I said a little earlier on the show, we both left 6-figure jobs, wives had babies, we had houses that we were buying. A lot going on in our lives, and we decided to jump ship and trust the other person. I was actually still working for my job when we were starting things out and just getting it off the ground. Josh had already left DC and went full force into it. He had to trust that I would join him one day, and that I had to trust that when I joined him that we were going to be successful. And I think what made it comforting for me, at least, and I'd be open to hearing Josh on this one, but I loved the fact that he did bring another side to what I couldn't offer. It was a yin to a yang, and that's something a lot of people make a mistake of. Yeah, you may be in line with the person you're looking to start a business with, but if you bring similar attributes to the business, you will end up butting heads. You will end up addressing things the same way, and it won't work the most efficient way you can as a business owner. And for us, Josh is an expert at finance. I don't try to crunch numbers. Even when I do, it looks really bad. And I also respect the fact that Josh addresses things differently than me. When there's client issues, employee disputes, when there's concerns and things that we have to address when it's a problem, he looks at it in a very different, pragmatic way than I do. I look at it in a very big picture, opportunistic way. I'm the people person on the team, we tend to say. So there's clearly a balance there. I do the operations and marketing and the people focused. Josh is very finance focused, looking at the numbers and using those. And it's the reason we even started Equiturn was because we felt like when you go to a consultant, you don't always get both those sides of the arm. You get the finance expert, you might get the marketing and operations specialist, but you don't get someone who's really looking at the intricacies of how the numbers bleeds into your marketing, bleeds into your efficiencies and operations. So I think that trust made a huge difference, but having the value of both of us bringing something unique to the table and knowing we address things differently was actually a benefit for us.
I'm going to turn to Josh, but hearing it, this is like, the famous quote, 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah. And I'm witnessing it. It's like special to witness it. The respect you have for each other and the recognition that, if you have a team with two amazing all-star shortstops, someone's got to be traded, and then you got to get a starting pitcher, get something, because what's the point of having that overlap? There needs to be complementary skills and talents in order to really have a company soar.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. I think it all stems really from a respect and trust factor. That's where I found the most value out of partnering with Ron. Is ultimately, I know, and Ron is my work wife, if you will. You got to trust them blindly. You have to trust their skill set. You have to trust their judgment. You have to trust their decision making. Everything that you do, you just have to trust them, and you have to trust them that they're going to do it better than you in certain capacities. Because I love that sports analogy. You have two shortstops, one got to be traded. But if you have a great first baseman, second baseman, third baseman,
then you have a winning
team.
You
have a winning team.
Yeah, we'll go to the World Series.
To the work relationship point, just really quickly, because I know this was something that we always talk about, but anytime we're in a meeting, Yitzchok, and I hope it doesn't happen on the show today,
okay.
But if we ever have a situation where we may not agree with what's going on at the table, we know to respect each other to the point where we'll save it for afterwards. We'll support each other. We'll be at the table and be on the same page, even if we may not agree fully with what just happened, because in front of our clients, in front of our staff, in front of our partners, we need to be a unified front. And that's something I've seen at the table with business owners, that it's very scary when you see it and you're sitting there and you see two partners very clearly disagreeing. And it's not just happening with us as consultants. It's happening in the work field. It's happening in their manufacturing facilities, in their warehouses, and it causes tension in the workplace. So the more you can be a unified front, I mean, Josh and I learned it very early on. We had one time where it happened where we clearly disagreed and got a look from a partner of ours, and we took that very seriously, and we learned very quickly. We need to be on the same page.
By the way, that's a beautiful incident that you shared, that you're self-aware, and you're willing to learn and critique yourself. That's beautiful. And most people are not self-aware. They dig in. They have in their mind what they're envisioning, and then they don't. But you realized it right away. You got that look, and boom, and you've implemented that. This. If we have an issue, we'll take it in the backyard.
Take it in the back.
Take it in the back, but never publicly.
Correct.
Such a great point. Okay, let's get to the core of what Equitern is known for: growth management consulting. Perhaps Josh, Ron, explain, unpack that.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, there's many different types of consulting, right? There's HR consulting, financial consulting, whatever. We focus strictly on growing businesses. We take businesses and we take what they're doing and we find the positives from it and we weed out the negatives from it. And ultimately, we developed customized strategies for individual businesses and then we execute with them alongside those strategies. And I think that that's a lot of what makes us different as a business or in the consulting field. A lot of consultants will get hired to do a project or implement, Salesforce across a nationwide type platform. We sit with the business owner, understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, intimately deep dive and get into the guts of the business, and then we develop a strategy, however long, 2 year, 3 year, 6 month, 5 year, and then we sit there alongside them and we execute with our team on these strategies and ultimately report back. This is how much you've grown. This is how much efficiency we together have created as a unit. And it seems to have been working pretty well so far.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I would say, Yitzchok, when we take that meeting, they tend to be so against the wall because they're working their business every single day. They're so right up against the wall, and you can understand it. I mean, every single day, if you're intricately looking at all the operations and all the finances, it gets hard to implement or see that growth strategy. And a lot of people ask you, why would I hire an outside firm to get somewhere where I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm doing just fine? Well, it's for that outside perspective. You bring in someone who specializes to look at the outside perspective and analyze the things you look at every day. And for example, we had a partner of ours, it's a trophy company. Okay. They've been doing a great job for many years, but there was one thing they missed. They missed that digital transformation. They didn't end up creating that online presence that needed to be so important now, especially during the COVID pandemic and everything going on. There wasn't that, let's walk into the showroom and pick out what I want. And so we identified that and we worked with them to build that digital transformation. They have a live website now, doing sales online. They're bringing in almost $30,000, $40,000 a month through their online presence. And now we're looking at other things. We're looking at the efficiencies with the manufacturing, how they're tracking their financials, things that are so important to their business. But because they were in it every day, I mean, this business has been around for 50 years. They would not be around for 50 years if they weren't doing something right. But to take them to that next level as things transform and evolve, we were able to see it from an outside perspective.
By the way, as Ron and Josh have pointed out, it is so true that an executive needs someone else, an outside perspective, because let's face it, they're in it, they're breathing it, their noses to the grindstone, their ears to the grindstone, whatever the expression is, they're just too close to it. Now, of course, there's a big advantage to that. We're not saying that they could run it, for 5,000 miles away. But at the same time, that perspective of an outsider that comes in, that also sees, like, you service businesses in a wide range of industries. So I'm going to turn to you now with an interesting question. How interesting is it or advantageous the fact that you could service a medical facility, a trophy company, etc., and sometimes even import an idea from one industry where the executive in that industry, probably when you even present it, are like, no way. Come on, Ron, Josh, you're from the moon here. How does that happen?
It does happen. It does happen, and it does. It takes the data, it takes the understanding, it takes showing them. Everything is about data. It's about proof, right? It's like, well, you're asking me to invest all this money into something that I've never heard of, and I don't even understand as to why. You come to them and you explain to them very clearly, whether it's through numbers, whether it's through efficiencies, whether it's through operations, whether it's through team building, whatever it might be, as to why this is a value add, and ultimately. Most of the time, they'll listen to us.
Depending on the situation.
Most of the time. But we say it for good reason, and we only have their best interests in mind, and we're just trying to do our job.
And shockingly, once they actually trust us, they start asking us the question, what do you see in that industry? Is it working that way? I mean, from project management systems to digital marketing strategies to personnel. I mean, people are the same no matter where you go, so how to address those. But I've definitely gotten that question pretty often, and I know we present it as saying, hey, we have this other company. We know it's not the same industry, but it got them to where we wanted to get them to. Would you be open to trying it? And it's really surprising how often they're saying yes.
Now, if I could turn, this is just an interesting question that I'm picking up that I feel comfortable asking you. What is this? I mean, you clearly have this magic, and maybe if you could share it, how do you build that trust? Because you're right. Once you build that trust, you have them, and they'll be open to even ideas which might seem off the wall. How do you develop that trust factor?
I'll take it really quick, and then I'm going to hand it to you because I know you have a good answer too. I think what made us unique when we started was that we don't just give you a strategy and hand it to you. Strategies are free in our book. I can give you all the ideas under the sun. We can sit there, have a drink, and I'll tell you everything. But execution is key. And I think what I've seen with all of our partners, what I know I've seen with all of our partners, is they truly value the amount of hands-on work that we do with them. We're all about give you the strategy, then execute. We'll take a financial pro forma, turn it into accounting. We'll take a go-to-market strategy and turn it into digital marketing. I mean, we're very ingrained in their operations. So the minute they see us there, helping them with inventory, calling their staff, taking team meetings, showing up when no one else would show up, because we're not caring about the billable hour, we're caring about the impact and the success of their business. And I've seen that firsthand be really the success for us. I mean, some of our partners are like family members. They came to my son's bris. So like it builds that connection, and I think it goes a long way.
Special.
Yeah,
Josh.
no, I think that was a pretty perfect answer. But also, I mean, you're going to find people that you don't know. All of our clients, we never met in the past, right? They're not our friends. They're not our family. They're all just people with businesses that want to grow their businesses. And I think that no matter what, it takes a level of proven results to get that full level of trust. So at the beginning, you have a good track record. You've heard good things. You see good metrics. Okay, let's give these guys a shot. But it takes actualizing these results that we do produce on a daily basis that ultimately allow them to start to turn their heads away from what we're doing and focus back on what they're doing and let us do what we do best, because we show that to them. We don't just talk it, we walk it.
I'm speaking in studio. We have the pleasure of having Ron Krudo, Josh Orlinsky of Equiturn Business Solutions. How can people find out more information about Equiturn?
You can look us up online. Take a look at www.equiturnsolutions.com. You can find us on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're very active. You can Google search us. We'll come up. We're definitely working on our Google ads and always putting ourselves out there, but definitely look us up. You can find and reach out to Josh and myself personally. We'd be happy to help out.
Mind Your Business here on 710 WOR in the Northeast, throughout the Northeast. But we're also on in South Florida this week. Hey, welcome to, we're syndicated tonight on 1470 AM in South Florida. In addition, we're on FM as well, 96.9 and 95.3. Welcome. Hello to Mind Your Business. Well, having Ron and Josh in studio is a special treat. Ron Krudo, Josh Orlinsky, Equiturn Business Solutions. Now we're going to talk about the world of mergers and acquisitions. Not a simple area to be in. You're talking about taking a company, merging it with another company. There are different personalities, and at the top, the CEO, the executive team, and this is, perhaps you could unpack this, and then even perhaps share some examples without sharing anything that's confidential of companies that you've put together. And just like yourselves, 1 + 1 = 3, the M&A turned out to be a tremendous boon for the company, what they were able to accomplish in a new setting together as opposed to independently.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you think about it, growth management consulting is a complete complement to mergers and acquisitions, right? We're growing businesses. What is one? It's not easy whatsoever, but it's an easy way conceptually to grow businesses by bringing more businesses on, right? It brings more revenue, it brings more profit, it brings more everything. So we were doing traditional growth management consulting for quite a little bit of time, and I had an M&A background from back in Washington, D.C. when I was working up there. And we were focusing on a phase-by-phase process of growing Equitern. We knew that management consulting was something that we could get our feet wet with down in South Florida, start to gain a clientele, start to put our name out there, start to produce some results. And one thing, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, but one thing that I know that I'm very, very good at is mergers and acquisitions. It just took a stepping stone to be able to get to that point, because M&A is it's a high-level type business. It's a high-frequency type business. It's you're doing a lot of different things that have a lot of different components of understanding businesses, understanding business structure, understanding financing, capital structures. I mean, there's so many different components that go along to it, but it's a perfect complement to what we do. So eventually, as Ron and I started to be able to turn to our team a little bit more, as we continue to grow, the natural next step for us was Ron takes care of the consulting side, and I started to go out alongside Ron, but he was really focusing more on management consulting because he's so good at it. And ultimately, I started to pivot a little bit of my time into more mergers and acquisitions, and now lo and behold, we have an entire M&A department, and we're doing transactions every single week. So.
Definitely, and I know that you asked about some success with one of our partners, and I'll let Josh this is his Cinderella story of our success.
Okay.
But we have a company that's in the healthcare space. They do temporary staff and travel staffing. They came to us with just a few million, almost $5 million.
No, they were doing like 6 to 10 million.
6 to 10 million? Okay, $6 to $10 million in revenue. They had an acquisition strategy in mind. They had been trying to accomplish it for a number of years, but every single acquisition was a little smaller. It was a quick integration of what they did, but it wasn't what they really were hoping to accomplish. And through the support of Josh, our team, we were able to identify almost 3 different acquisition targets
in 1 year.
And they took themselves now trending almost to, I think it's up $200 million in the coming year.
Yeah. When we got with them at first, they were just a normal growing business. But the CEO is. If he's listening, shout out to him. He's awesome. One of the greatest clients we've ever worked with, because he's been so open, so accommodating. He wanted to get something done, and he trusted us to allow it to happen. So we alongside him, alongside his team, alongside everything, he came to us. Let's just call it a 10. We developed these custom acquisition strategies for him. figured out how we were going to capitalize the whole thing, meaning how we were going to fund it. What we do a lot of the times is what's called structured buyouts, and we try to utilize leverage buyout strategies as well in what we're doing because it minimizes a lot of the cash outlay that needs to go. So long story short, ultimately, like Ron said, they're sitting at about a $200 million run rate right now by integrating 3 businesses last year, a few businesses the year before that, and ultimately combining them through the economies of scale of it, and just the whole beauty of M&A. They'll hit the 200 million this year. We have a pretty serious confidence.
And Yitzchok, the reason I think it was such an easy transition, as Josh was trying to explain it before as we opened it up, is that what we realized is while M&A advising is excellent, you can get these acquisition opportunities for our partners and see that rapid growth. It's the follow-up and the continuation of this acquisition that we were able to address by using our growth consulting firm. We were able to say, you know what, we'll assist you with your strategy of acquisition. We'll take in these partners and help you grow revenue, but then we'll also help with that aspect of culture and CEOs and communication and marketing strategies. And our team then goes in on that integration phase and steps into those roles to ensure that the company as a whole starts looking like one company, starts breathing together, starts scaling together, so that it's only a continuous cycle. Because we've seen it where people will come to us for the early phase of acquisition, and we'll do the assessment, we'll give them the deal structure and recommendations, but then they'll go out and do it on their own. And unfortunately, a year, 2 years later, we call them and it's nowhere near where it was before. The business is actually probably doing worse than it was before because they were passionate about it. They knew it was a successful business, but they were going in alone. And it takes a village, as we all know, to really be successful. And I think that's where we were able to complement that M&A advising.
One of the takeaways that I had from the story is how this CEO, and it was amazing how, Josh, you touched on this, he accepted, he allowed himself, who was a successful person, he gave himself the space to say, hey, I hired Equitern. Let me hear from these guys. They have good ideas. I'm going to listen to them. You touched on it. How important is that? Or I'm going to ask the other way. How frustrating is it when you know you have a great idea, you're trying to help them, and they hired you, and they just ain't listening?
Yeah, let's just say it's the difference between 10 to 200 million and 10 to 12 million, right? It's the idea of letting us do what we do. Why would I always say, even with our team, why would we hire somebody to do a job and micromanage them or tell them how to do what we hired them to do, as opposed to, I hired you for a specific reason. You seem to be pretty good at it. Let me let you run with it. Let me let you prove me right. And I think that was the beauty of this one specific. And it's not just him. We do have a ton of stuff.
We have others.
But regardless, he in that M&A space just sticks out as somebody who hired us. He accepted the strategy that we presented. We always got to get it checked off, right? We can't just go and run and spend $200 million ourselves. But he checked it off, and he let us run. And what we did is what we do best, and now we're here.
Josh, one principle your company is known, among the many, but one that it's known for in particular, is optimizing performance and productivity. Can you expand on this, please?
Yeah, I'm going to toss that one actually to Ron, because he's in the operations world.
Good.
I got you. But I'll touch on it if it makes sense.
Definitely, you can always chime in. So this is a big deal to me, because I think a lot of the times when we go into partnering with a business, things might be running smoothly, but they don't realize the opportunities that if they adjusted slightly, whether it's through project management software, automations, identifying efficiencies in their processes, in their warehouses, distributions, whatever it is, that they can actually save on expenses and ultimately increase their opportunities. And so it's a big deal to us. We love the idea of looking at what exists today, writing it down on a piece of paper, a spreadsheet, a checklist, and looking at what steps in that process can be optimized or created more efficient to generate more opportunity for the company. And we do it through all of our sectors, from marketing to finance to sales to operations. It's a really important part. And I would stress that if you're a business owner listening in, even if it's not with a company like ours, take the time once a month, once a quarter, to just look at what you're doing on a daily basis and where are new technologies, new opportunities that you can scale. I've seen it a lot of the times that there's an employee or a team member that's been there for years, and they're scared to disrupt their flow. They're scared to disrupt the norm of what has happened, and they're nervous about their revenue. And I can understand that. I mean, anybody would be nervous to don't fix what's not broken, as they say. But at the end of the day, if you really look at it, it's not about fixing what's broken, but it's about optimizing what works. And if you take the time to look at it and find those opportunities, you will succeed. And that's where, at the beginning when I said taking that step back, taking that outside perspective, we can help you identify it. I mean, we've done it with a few of our partners. They were running their systems through papers or doing all their accounting on normal paper invoices and tracking them that way. They had no form of budgeting or cash flow management. The same thing with their operations, doing timesheets on normal paper. I mean, things that you could very easily change and make your company more efficient. And that's where we really look for those opportunities.
Speaking with Ron Krudo, President and Managing Partner at Equiturn, and Josh Orlinsky, CEO and Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions. How can people find out more information about Equiturn?
Yeah, please go to our website, equiturnsolutions.com, Google us, Twitter us, Instagram us, LinkedIn us. You can find us everywhere. But always start at the website, equiturnsolutions.com.
You know what we haven't said yet is our phone number. You can call us at 1-800-619-1749. That's also an option, if you so choose.
Mind your business. Here in the Northeast, we're on 710 WOR, and of course throughout the world on the iHeartRadio network. But in addition, we say hello to South Florida. We are on 1470 AM. And on FM, we're on 96.9 and 95.3 FM. Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to allow us to share incredible business content on the Mind Your Business show. Well, our guest tonight, Josh Orlinsky, Ron Krudo of Equiturn Business Solutions, and we're talking about the world of growing your business for whatever. It's to make extra money, to help additional people, to exit. We're talking about mergers and acquisitions, all that. In case you tuned in late, no worries. This entire episode will be up by Tuesday on the platform that hosts every single past show, mybradio.com, mybradio.com. And within a week or two, we'll be up on YouTube. Josh, Ron, again, thank you so much for joining me here in studio for this incredible experience here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us.
And for sharing. I mean, you're sharing quite a bit. I mean, I hope your competitors are not tuned in. What can I say? You know?
I hope they are.
Look at these guys are just really sharing the fort. Josh, let's talk about capital options for mergers and acquisitions. What options do you propose for clients, or is that maybe too broad of a question?
I mean, it's a broad question. There's a ton of different ways to finance acquisitions, and feel free to call us because there's so many different ones, and it's always related directly to your business and your business situation. I think that the big takeaway from this is the understanding that mergers and acquisitions is attainable. It's not reserved for ginormous businesses that have tons of pools of capital. There's different ways to buy businesses, whether you're doing structured buyouts where you're leveraging out cash, receivables, a little bit of your own cash, whatever it might be, bank loans. If you're buying something for $5 million, it doesn't necessarily mean you need $5 million in cash. There are different ways to do so via earnout, via structured buyouts, via leverage buyout.
It's a great point. And even before Ron jumps in, when you hear about, those of us a couple of years ago, maybe I'm dating myself, when United and Continental merged, etc. It doesn't have to be, like you said, some humongous company. A small company, $1 million company, $5 million company, $10 million company, they could look at creative mergers to really get to the vistas that they never could have imagined on their own.
Yeah, it's an accelerated path to success, and a lot of people don't see that at first because they view it as, I got to buy another business. But at least because I come from the operations and marketing world, I look at it as taking over market share. And a lot of people don't see buying a business as taking over a market, but you really do. When you see a competitor and you want an opportunity to open into their marketplace, sometimes it's better than hitting them head on with marketing and expanding a new office and doing all that. You could just buy that business, partner up, and take over a massive market share. And it's not as expensive, and it doesn't always have to be for the big dogs. I mean, it really is for any level of business. You can acquire someone in your market and expand.
Now, Ron, in your industry, why is it so important to have, as you do, customized services, and you don't just show up with a one-size-fits-all, cookie cutter solution?
See, I love this question to the point of what Josh was just saying now. There are so many ways to cut this together and create an opportunity. And I personally believe that business is an organic thing. It changes and evolves, it grows. And to say that a cookie cutter approach because you're in this industry is the best solution for your success just never sat well for us, neither Josh nor myself in all of our conversations. We could have chosen an industry. I can tell you that when we started this business, everyone asked me, oh, what industry are you going into? But what we felt is if we can bring a team of experts together and you understand your industry alongside the expertise and knowledge we have, we can succeed together. And why is it important to make it customizable and unique to them is because if you just bring that cookie cutter approach, consumers are used to it. They're comfortable with it. They've seen it. They probably experienced it. Yeah, it'll probably work, but are you going to be that diamond in the rough if you're using what everyone else is using?
But I also think that there's no such thing as the same business. So how is there a cookie cutter type approach to, even if you're in the same exact industry, even if you're on the same block as each other? You have different people, you have different processes, you have different, a whole bunch of different things. So to bring a cookie cutter type model into a environment that is ever changing and ever different from one another, it doesn't make sense to me. It sounds like, you're just trying to make money more than anything.
It's counterproductive, yeah. You're just trying to find a turn and burn for your personal business as a consultant compared to giving the needs of the client. And we saw it firsthand when we went into a lot of our partners where they were thinking when they sat with us, like, oh, someone told me I got to do this marketing and I got to do this for my finance, I got to do this for my operations. And when we sat and actually analyzed their goals, their vision, where they're planning to go into the future, we weren't trying to sell them on all our services. We were trying to focus on what did they need to reach their goals and a little bit beyond. And I think it made us feel, to them at least, a little more comforting when we sat there and actually analyzed it with them.
Now, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot with this question, but what makes Equiturn unique? What makes you stand out in your industry? What's your USP, unique selling position?
Definitely. There's a few different things. There's three key things that we always talk about in our business that we feel like adds value. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, we made it something that was attainable and affordable to our partners. Now, every business is different. All of their needs are different. So it ranges on how big of a business it is and what their needs are and what the project or the opportunity is. But we're always thinking about how can we ensure this client or this partner isn't scared about picking up the phone, calling us, having a meeting, asking us to join them in a strategy call. We don't want them to think about every billable hour or every second they speak to us because that is counterproductive to their business's growth. Right. So we looked at it as how can we make this something attainable? And on top of that, my father, I told this story before, my dad is a serial entrepreneur. He's been building businesses ever since I was a kid. I was working in his stores from too young to talk about on radio, but I've been there for life. And I saw firsthand that he was an expert salesman, but he didn't always know all the finances. He didn't always know all the marketing strategy, but he was always hesitant to bring in a professional consultant. He felt like A, they were going to be too expensive, B, they didn't really care about his success, and C, did they really know what he was doing? And so that's why Josh and I looked at this approach when we talked about it was A, we want to make it attainable. B, we want to show them that we're partnered with them. So when we say we're working with you, we'll be there in the grind and the hustle and the struggles, but we'll also at some point maybe even take equity and say, let's partner. Let's work together. Let's take a mutual risk for success. We'll lower our fees. We'll be there as a partner to you, and we'll see it through in the future. And that actually was the case in one of our partners we were talking about earlier with the healthcare business. We saw the opportunity, they saw the value, and we decided let's do this together. And last but not least, I think that's added that value is that brain that works together. Like I was saying before, a lot of the times when you go to consulting firms, you're finding, unless you're a very large company going to a very large consulting firm, the smaller boutique firms don't have a marketing expert. They don't have a finance expert. They don't have an operations expert. We brought those individuals. We took the risk of finding these really amazing people to join our team from the beginning to be there for our partners because we felt like you don't need to be chasing opportunities and having each of them not communicating to each other. You shouldn't have an accountant that doesn't know what your marketing team is doing. Right. So we decided let's bring that all together. So between making it attainable, aligning our values and our risks together, and then ultimately being there for them as a full suite of experts, we saw ourselves standing out and being unique in the marketplace. I don't know, Josh, if you want to add to that, but
I think that was pretty perfect.
It was our long drive from California that we came up with this, so it matches up well.
Man, the time flies. The time flies. We're having fun. We're talking business. And again, if you tuned in late, no worries. The entire show will go up at mybradio.com by Tuesday morning. You like to listen on Spotify, iTunes, whatever platform. We are on all the platforms. Josh, Ron, what a treat. But I'm going to turn to each of you. First, Josh Orlinsky, CEO, Managing Partner at Equiturn Business Solutions. Then I turn to Ron Krudo, President and Managing Partner. And that is, as a takeaway from tonight's incredible show, what specific advice can you give? Again, I'm turning to Josh first. Specific tip that an executive, an entrepreneur should be thinking about as they move on with their day-to-day work?
Yeah, I'll take that from my finance side of it.
Okay.
I'm sure Ron will take it from his. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you guys all, you know all too well how intense it gets, how insane it gets, how deep into the weeds you can get sometimes. So I think it's a twofold answer. One is try to take a step back, try to breathe, try to see what you're doing from a little bit of a bird's eye view at some points. And don't always be deep into the grind, because you're going to get lost in there. And your business is going to get lost. And like Ron was saying earlier on the show, eventually you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over, as opposed to just taking a step, taking a breath, taking a step back and realizing, what am I doing? What am I doing well? What can I improve on? What can I capitalize on? And I think that that's extremely important. And then from the finance side of it, I feel like there are those business owners that are financially minded, but then there are business owners that are just not financially minded. I think that sometimes in my experience, the numbers get lost and it's more about the sale or more about, getting that next big win. But you kind of forget about where the numbers are taking you and what the numbers are telling you. Because those financial statements are not there for tax reasons. I know that you have to use them for tax reasons, but they are not there for tax reasons. They are there for you to look at them as much as you possibly can to make better investment decisions. And I don't mean investing in the stock market. I mean investing in yourself. I mean investing in your business, investing in your success. And I really think that gets lost sometimes. And yeah, that's what I would leave it at. Take a look.
Ron Krudo.
So I have what I call as a three-prong approach to my advice and my tip. It would be that in life you have to take risks, including in business. You have to embrace the others, whether it's on your team or outside people you bring in. And at the end of the day, it is a calculated process that you need to follow. And why I say that is your team is going to probably be coming to you with ideas, but you're going to be scared to listen to it, or you're going to push them off to the side. You're not going to believe that they have the time, the expertise, or ability to do what you do every day. Same thing with consultants, same thing with experts that you hire on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. You are sometimes nervous to say that they know or can bring value to the table because they're not there every day, but they really can, and you need to be open and embrace that. You need to take risks. You took a huge risk when you started your business. You left that 9-to-5 life and decided to start a company of your own, and you need to continue to take risks. That's what business is about. Now, take the time to be calculated, but take the risks, because that's where you gain reward. And those risks will lead to opportunity, even if you learn something from it, whether it fails. Businesses fail, top CEOs fail every day, but the opportunity that comes from a risk that does succeed is so great. And at the end of the day, if you're going to do it right, lay out your calculated strategy. Take the time to think it through. We always tell people when they come to us, we have a process. We start with finance, know your numbers. After you know your numbers, identify your operations and your efficiencies, your ways of functioning most effective, and then increase your marketing and sales. I know too many business owners that want to do it backwards. They want to increase marketing and sales, then look at their operations and hope that they're servicing those people right. And then ultimately they'll check out their financials and say, oh, it actually made us some money. No, you should do it the other way around and make it calculated. Amazing. So take those risks, trust the people around you, but make sure you have a process at hand.
Before I let you go, how can people find out more about Equitern?
You can look us up online at www.equiturnsolutions.com. Find us online at Equitern, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can give us a call at 1-800-619-1749. Ask for Ron or Josh. We're very personal. We'll be happy to talk to anybody.
What an amazing show. We are out of time. And in case you tuned in late, no worries. It will be up at mybradio.com. mybradio.com. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and be notified every single time a new video goes live. Don't miss out on any of the weekly interviews that I have with top business leaders, sometimes Fortune 500 executives. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications.